Virgil's work stems a lot in what you put out online, and a lot of his work is what you talk about.
Hmm.
What's quite interesting is in the 9/11 monument in New York, in the center, there's a line in there which is actually from Virgil, and I didn't know that until I watched the video. What's the backstory there?
So, I said, well, this is slightly controversial, this line, because, well, not controversial, but it's almost like thoughtless from the person who made it. But basically, so the line is, never will you be erased. Something like, I can't quote. It's never will you be erased from the memory of time. And obviously, it's a great thing, right? Obviously, we don't want to forget 9/11, which is obviously an awful event to have happened. But the quote comes from Virgil's, I think it's Book 8, I think, and basically this is a big bit which is dedicated to the nighttime ambush of these two guys called Nisus and Euryalus, and they're like best friends. And as most best friends were in that sort of time, they're sort of gay, slightly a bit. It's not like said outright, but it's a bit like suspicious, But they and basically they're in the Trojan camp at night, and they say, "Oh, let's do something glorious, let's go and make a really good." And this is inspired from the Iliad. So Odysseus and another character, they go, I think it's Diomedes, they go out and do one of those as well, and they're successful. But so Virgil's like riffing on this. He's taking inspiration from Homer, and these two guys, they go out and they kill loads of people, and they're doing really well. They steal loads of armor, and then but so one armor, which I think one of them steals, glints, and the commander sees it. So him being greedy is sort of his downfall. But then the commander chases him. There's a big battle, and then the commander kills both of them, and they both die. And the book ends with Euryalus' mother, who's saying, "Oh, like, what's left for me in the world now? Now that you're gone, that you're my last hope from Troy." And it's really touching, really sad. But then Virgil breaks character, which he does only on rare occasions in the book. So he steps out as the narrator. He says, "Oh, you poor two, never again will you be like never will time like erase your memory." But interestingly, so that the whole context of this to use for 9/11 is just absurd because so in this, so Nisus and Euryalus, they're the terrorists in this idea, because they're going in like they're these two guys going in every night and killing people while they're sleeping, And then Virgil said at the end, "Oh, never will you be forgotten." So to use that for the people, it's like,
Did this come up when the center was launched?
well, there's a big article in the New York Times saying like this is a bit questionable to use, but oh yeah, it's mad really. But good old Americans, eh? What are they like? Man.
If we stick with America, there is two Latin phrases on the seal of the United States of America. What are they, and what are they?
I have to remember that now. One is so there's number one, Annuit Coeptis, which is classic. That's like sort of he nodded on these beginnings, and that's sort of like providence, God like nodded on these beginnings, and that's another sort of I think Virgil reference. I'm pretty sure, and that because the guys who made them, they're big. They love the classics as many of their time did, and it's quite powerful because the whole idea when Virgil was writing the Aeneid, it's part of its propaganda, and there's a whole debate of saying, is Virgil really portraying Rome and Augustus in a good light? But on the surface, it certainly appears like it. So, and the whole idea of Rome and the whole power of the empire is that, oh, we've been fated to be good, and we've fated to be the best, and so using the US for their state seal, that's something that's very, very, very powerful, So yeah, so that's the first one. The second one, Novus Ordo Seclorum. I'm going to try I got that right. So yeah, so that pretty much it's a slight riff, right? It's a slight changing slightly. It's because the Seclorum, it should be Cyclorum, but they've shortened it just to make it sound nice. That's from Virgil as well, but that's from his Eclogues as well. So like I said before, his first poems, which are sort of a bit mad, and that's the thing with poetry. I'll show you now. I've got behind me here. I've got Rowan Williams, the former Archbishop of Canterbury, his poems. Just why not? But like how I read poetry is that I try and read it in a day, like a whole book in a day, because you can spend your whole life going over one poem, So I just think read, and then because they're all interwoven as well. And in Latin literature, the idea of a poetry book is really important. Like Ovid talks about sending his book when he's in exile, sending a book back like it's an enclosed thing, the book. So everything's feeding off each other. The order is quite important. But in Virgil's Eclogue, it's a bit, well, it's not messy, but it's a bit all over the place. And this one, Novus Ordo Seclorum, comes from inside the, I think it's 4, yeah, 4 or 6, and this is the poem about the Golden Age, so the coming of a new Golden Age, and it's a really interesting poem. Look at this, because it's weird. Virgil talks about, oh, it's going to come again, and the Golden Age is a whole thing in the idea of the myth of how the world was created, which is a whole mess in itself. The idea of there was a Bronze Age, Golden Age, and then when it's chaos, and there were giants, and then Zeus killed all the giants. Zeus Jupiter killed the giants, and then Prometheus with Matt. It's all mad. But the Golden Age is like this time when everything was good, prosperous, an eternal spring, and there was no war. And so in Virgil's poem, he's saying, oh, there's a new Golden Age coming. But he uses it a lot. There's this idea of the boy, and no one really knows who's. It could be Augustus. It could be one of his other patrons, maybe a guy called Pollio. But no one really knows. And then a lot of people who read it in later ages thought, oh, this is obviously referring to Jesus Christ, this boy. And yeah, right. Well, I doubt it. I mean, I doubt Virgil knew that Jesus Christ. Well, maybe, but yeah. So it's a great line, obviously, to use for the US. Like, the Golden Age is coming. When it will come, I'm not sure, but I mean, maybe soon. But Virgil does say after long wars in that poem. He says there'll be like lots of wars again. There'll be fathers killing sons, and then it will appear. So who knows? Maybe it's about to happen.